Good morning, folks. I'm Lucas Pete, independent crop consultant around central Louisiana, and I just kind of giving a presentation on what I've seen throughout the 16 growing season. And disease-wise in soybeans, it was pretty interesting. We seen just about almost every one of them. The only one actually we didn't see was target spot in Louisiana. That's one of the ones we kind of avoided for some reason or another. But 16 started out kind of interesting. We kind of got planted on time. But then middle of May caught a bunch of rain, and it started pretty well. It seemed pretty average. Everything was growing pretty good. But then about July 20th, a lot of cloudy days, a lot of rain set in. That was a field. After about 13 inches of rain, 24 hours, it went from it had 5+ foot of water in it, and the end result was there. So I was pretty much done checking that one. But a lot of the fields though around Evangeline Parish South was just totally waterlogged. I don't think some of these fields the water didn't go over them, but water sat anywhere from 4 inches to just a sheen on the bottom for about 2 weeks in it, and that led pretty much to a whole lot of diseases. But it started out with some late May rains, a little bit of stand loss, seedling diseases, but we had to get growing, overcame that. Then the usual suspects showed up. The Cosper blight was pretty intense in some fields, like always. Some varieties had others. The picture doesn't do it good, but I pulled up to this field that one day. It was so the bronzing was so intense that it was just pretty much blue, and but the picture didn't pick up the coloration that well. But it was interesting. And then aerial blight, from all that rain, cloudy days, aerial blight, which is a perennial problem for us, that doesn't really get much attention anymore, but it's definite. It definitely causes yield loss. You can see mycelial growth, the sclerotia on there, desiccation, water of the pods itself. And it's one of the few diseases that we have that fungicide actually can be curative on. We still got some luck with that, even in areas where there is known resistance to rhizoctonia with Preaxor. We could pick up on some of that. And we even had Asian soybean rust showed up this year for the first time in a while, and actually it was pretty noticeable. The pustules, the little volcanoes erupting would release some spores out. But this one finally showed up at a time of the year where I was kind of happy to see it, because a lot of beans were staying green, and we moved into this stuff came in on a few fields and actually started helping defoliate them. And this is pretty much textbook showing of along a tree line, a lot more defoliation here, a little greener, and that's as the disease progressed into the field. Frog eye was the issue in some places, but not terrible. It showed up, but there are a few fungicides and resistant varieties to control that. A lot of root knots this year in fields that people kind of forgot about. Cotton fields that turned away, that guys, but they worried about it in cotton, started planting a lot of beans and corn, kind of forgot about them, and with a wet year and light soils, those nematodes really took off and really hammered a lot of beans. If I had to take a picture of the whole field where you could see within the field, you could see the spots where defoliation spreading out, and you go just pull them up, and a whole lot of galls on there. And knowing we have all these diseases, and what can we do to help put ourselves in a position where we can, have some confidence going into this without knowing it'll be just total disaster. Well, it starts out with, just basic stuff. Best management practices. Start out with knowing your history. You like soils and have an old history in root knots, you might want to lean to some of those root knot resistant varieties. Some of them, not known. Some people don't shot away because in the yield variety guys, it might not yield that hot, but you take a 10-15% loss on a root knot field, knowing you got a variety, it's definitely worth it. And when there isn't varieties, that's for root knots and for frog eye. There's several frog eye varieties that are very good, that are resistant. So we need to put them into action. We don't need to just put them out there and then wonder why we can't get things stuff under control. And seed treatments are important, I believe, in this. For early planting or planting into different conditions. Fungicide seed treatments in beans definitely have their factor in, and sometimes it matters how I know I need them. You don't. I mean, you don't. You know you need them. You can't really plan on. You just kind of hedging the bet with them. And then it's like, all right, Tom Allen was talking about, disease, fungicide, when to put them. Do we need them? You need them. I know it's been a question, is the R3 the money shot? I come to find out, well, R3 is when you start thinking about it. If weather's conducive, or if you're seeing any kind of first signs of lesions, you probably want to go R3. But if you could delay it to R4, R5, that really helps out in the long run, and definitely can reduce some of your second application scenarios. I should tend to wait either on the weather or first present of some of these diseases. You always watch your weather. That definitely plays, and sometimes a high yield environment could definitely dictate what you want to do in your fungicide program. If you're trying to go for yield and you're sitting in the water and irrigating, and if you got a susceptible variety of some of this stuff, you go R3 and come back with a R5, and it tends to do better. It'll definitely look better. But as for overall yield, you'll pick up a bushel or two. And sometimes with fungicides, like how you rotate your chem, and sometimes which fungicides to use, depending on what scenario you want to be in. If you're spraying the R3 plant health, you probably definitely want to start with a strobilurin. But if you're coming out with frog eye early on, you definitely want to have a triazole in the mix, something to go curative with it. But and then also picking fungicides, you got to figure out which disease you want to target. Like in an area like in South Louisiana rice situation, you primarily target an aerial blight. You want to prevent it. You want strobilurin. In some areas we have resistance to some rhizospora. You want to make sure you got your carboxamide type in there to help with that. I guess that's your modes of action. It's kind of hard to find most all fungicides now are combinations of one or two, but use them if you can. Then I guess the final decision on this is economics. A lot of generics out there now. They could really help if you got farmers' bottom line as to how much you put in there, what you're gonna get out of it. It just kind of builds a scenario, how much money got in, what your yield potential. It's multiple tasks to all this. So I hope I didn't raise more questions than answers, but I'll take any questions.
You fungicide every acre of your beans? Field by field basis?
Yeah, it's field by field, but it's probably 95% of them. The only time we kind of walk away from fungicides is when we just in like 15, we got super dry and hot, and there was no purpose in putting some of these beans. They were going to cut 15 bushels, 20 bushels if we did anything with or without them. But being in South Louisiana, it's almost, you pretty much putting your budget for one fungicide of some sort. You're just trying to figure out, putting the weather together and trying to figure out which timing would be better. Sometimes you go R3, early R4, that's good. That's kind of the optimal, what they call it the yield boost. But then you come R5 and you get a bunch of cloudy as we did, and aerial blight flare back up on you, and that's definitely yield loss. So then you have to come back with a second one. If maybe you could have pushed it late R4 in the areas where you have pretty high, aerial blight's kind of common. You push it in the back, kind of catch up some of the later season stuff that cause issues. It's a moving target, man. It's you gotta kind of just get out there and play it by ear, and what's the field doing? What the rod is it doing? Well, thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it.